In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NFL games happening on September 29, 2024, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NFL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Kansas City Chiefs versus Los Angeles Chargers. We're heading into Week 4 of the NFL season, and one of the most anticipated afternoon matchups takes place out west as the Kansas City Chiefs face off against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs completed a sweep of the Chargers in their regular season series last year, securing a 31-17 victory on October 22nd, followed by a tight 13-12 win in Week 17 on January 7th. With both teams bringing plenty of intrigue into this divisional clash, all eyes will be on whether the Chargers can overcome their recent struggles against Kansas City. The Chiefs may be 3-0 to start the season, but their wins have been anything but dominant. None of their victories have come by more than 7 points, and their average margin of victory sits at just 4 points. This being a divisional game, it's expected to be a physical, low-scoring affair, which is exactly the kind of football Jim Harbaugh prefers. He focuses on establishing the run and controlling the trenches, which is why Justin Herbert's questionable status isn't a massive concern in this context. While it's clear Herbert is a more talented option than Taylor Heinicke, the Chargers' game plan will likely revolve around their potent rushing attack, which means they may not lean heavily on their quarterback, regardless of who starts. Moreover, it's worth noting that the Chiefs' offensive versatility has been limited. With injuries decimating their backfield, they're essentially relying on their third-string running back, Carson Steele. Normally, having a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes would mitigate such concerns, but Mahomes hasn't been at his sharpest this season, already throwing 4 interceptions. While Kansas City remains undefeated, their defense has shown some vulnerability, and each of their games has been a close call. Meanwhile, the Chargers have won 2 out of their 3 games this season, with their only loss coming last week when Herbert sustained his injury. Despite his questionable status, there's a decent chance he plays in this crucial matchup. The Chiefs' struggles against the pass have been glaring. Their pass defense currently ranks 30th in the NFL, leaving them vulnerable against a team like the Chargers, especially with running back J.K. Dobbins having a standout season on the ground. Dobbins has already racked up 310 rushing yards over 3 games, and Kansas City's run defense, while not terrible, is only ranked 14th. On the other side of the ball, the Chargers boast a much more formidable defense, ranking near the top of the league in several categories. Their defense is allowing only 175 passing yards per game, which could pose serious challenges for Mahomes and the Chiefs' passing attack. On paper, the Chargers don't seem to be in an ideal position. Safety Derwin James Jr. is serving a suspension, and Herbert was seen leaving last week's game in a walking boot, making his availability doubtful. If Herbert can't go, the Chargers will be turning to Taylor Heinicke as their starting quarterback. Even so, the Chargers have a track record of playing the Chiefs tough, regardless of circumstances. Despite losing 8 of the last 10 matchups against Kansas City, 6 of those losses were by 7 points or fewer, with the average margin of defeat being just 5.87 points. In addition, the Chargers have covered the spread in 6 consecutive games when underdogs by 7 or more points, and one of those covers was an outright victory against the Chiefs. For me, the Chiefs are a team I'm comfortable backing when they're favored by 3 points or fewer. However, when the spread extends to a touchdown or more, as it does here, I believe it presents an opportunity to bet against them. Kansas City simply has too many issues to justify laying more than a touchdown. Therefore, the Los Angeles Chargers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. While the Chargers have faced a relatively easy schedule so far, they've been one of the top defensive teams in the league. They're allowing just 11 points per game, which ranks 3rd in the NFL, and their red zone defense has been particularly impressive, giving up just 1 touchdown in 5 opponent trips to the red zone. If the Chargers can continue their strong play inside the red area, they should be in a good position on both sides of the ball. Offensively, the Chargers haven't been flashy. Their receiving core is among the weakest in the league, and if Taylor Heinicke is tasked with distributing the ball, the offense is unlikely to be explosive. Given that Los Angeles runs the ball on 55 45.49% of their plays, the fourth highest rate in the NFL. It's likely they'll stick with that run-heavy approach, especially if Herbert is sidelined. This matchup has all the makings of a hard-fought, defensive slugfest. The Chiefs haven't been lighting up the scoreboard, and they're facing a stout Chargers defense. On the other side, the Chargers may have to rely heavily on their rushing attack if Herbert doesn't play, which could further slow the pace of the game. In conclusion, this game appears set to be a low-scoring, physical contest between divisional rivals, making under the projected total our full game total pick. New Orleans Saints versus Atlanta Falcons. In Week 4 of the NFL season, fans are treated to an intriguing National Football Conference South showdown as the New Orleans Saints face off against the Atlanta Falcons. This Sunday's contest, held at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and broadcast on Fox, carries significant implications beyond just a typical game. It's an opportunity for both teams to prove they have what it takes to contend for the divisional title. The Saints come into this matchup with a 2-1 record following a narrow 15-12 home loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Meanwhile, the Falcons find themselves at 1-2 after suffering a 22-17 home defeat to the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams are eager to bounce back, and this divisional clash could set the tone for the remainder of their season. Recent history between these two rivals heavily favors the Saints, who have won 7 of the last 9 meetings, including an impressive 4-1 record when playing in Atlanta. This dominance suggests that the Saints have had the Falcons' number in recent years, and Atlanta's struggles at home this season only add to the challenge. The Falcons' offense has been among the league's worst in converting on third downs, ranking 4th worst in that category, and they are averaging 2 turnovers per game at home. Furthermore, Atlanta ranks 26th in scoring, which spells trouble against the Saints' defense that excels at forcing turnovers and has yet to allow an opponent to score 20 points. If the Falcons can't find a way to break the 20-point barrier, their defense may not be able to keep pace with New Orleans' potent offense. The Saints represent the type of team the Falcons aspire to become, boasting a dynamic running game and a stingy secondary that limits opponents' scoring opportunities. Meanwhile, Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins appears to still be finding his rhythm, as the team has failed to score more than 20 points in 2 of their 3 games this season. Injuries along Atlanta's offensive line, including to key players like Jake Matthews, Caleb McGarry, and center Drew Dalman, could make it even harder for Cousins to operate under pressure. With the Saints' defense thriving, especially on third downs, it's likely New Orleans will apply constant pressure, a hallmark of head coach Dennis Allen's defensive strategy. Considering these factors, the New Orleans Saints to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. On the defensive side, both teams have been solid so far this season. Despite facing strong offenses, the Falcons have managed to limit opponents to just 20 points per game. Similarly, New Orleans has held its own against tough competition and ranks 5th in the NFL, allowing only 15 points per contest. Atlanta's defense is particularly adept at stopping the run, which could be crucial with Saints running back Alvin Kamara dealing with injuries. The Falcons will likely force New Orleans into third and long situations, but the Saints' defense should generate a few takeaways and hold firm when Atlanta faces third down scenarios of their own. For those looking for potential drawbacks, it's worth noting that the Saints' offense showed some vulnerabilities last week as they failed to score a touchdown in their loss to the Eagles. Additionally, injuries to key offensive players, including Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and Falcons running back Bijan Robinson, could hamper both teams' rushing attacks in this matchup. With both defenses performing well, the Saints allowing just 15 points per game and the Falcons giving up 20.3, scoring opportunities may be limited. Recent trends also suggest a low-scoring affair, as the Saints have seen the under hit in 11 of their last 20 games, while the Falcons have had the under hit in 14 of their previous 20 matchups. All signs point toward a lower-scoring contest, making under the projected total our full game total pick. Jacksonville Jaguars versus Houston Texans. The Jacksonville Jaguars, currently sitting at 0-3, are off to a terrible start in the 2024 season. With their quarterback facing heavy criticism, they find themselves in a must-win situation if they have any hope of salvaging their playoff aspirations. This week, they face a crucial test against an American Football Conference South rival, making it essential to secure a victory if they want to turn their season around. That pivotal challenge comes in the form of the surging Houston Texans, who have started started the season 2-1. After a breakout 2023 season led by quarterback C.J. Stroud, the Texans are under pressure to maintain their momentum in 2024. They seem poised to take the next step and establish themselves as contenders, building on the promise they showed last year. Historically, the odds have not been in Jacksonville's favor. The Jaguars are 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 games and just 4-8 against the spread in their last 12 matchups against Houston. Though these teams split their 2 meetings last season, the Texans have largely dominated the rivalry in recent years. I expect that trend to continue this Sunday when Houston takes the field at home. After a disappointing loss to the Minnesota Vikings last week, the Texans will likely bounce back with a commanding win over the struggling Jaguars. Houston's offense is explosive and capable of taking advantage of Jacksonville's 30th-ranked secondary. Their defense, meanwhile, is stout against both the run and the pass, making it hard to see Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence recovering after a disastrous Monday night performance. The Texans did allow 4 touchdowns to Sam Darnold last week, but they also held him to under 200 passing yards. Minnesota, as a team, only averaged 4.6 yards per play in that game. With pressure in his face all game, I don't expect Lawrence to find much success. I anticipate Houston's offense will start fast, especially in this divisional game at home. Even if their key running backs, Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce, are unable to play, I have confidence that Cam Akers can provide enough balance in the running game. This will allow Stroud to take advantage of Jacksonville's weak pass defense. On Monday Night Football, Buffalo scored a touchdown on all 5 of their first half possessions against Jacksonville, and if Houston can replicate even a portion of that success, they should head into halftime with a comfortable lead. Though the Jaguars have been the better team in this American Football Conference South rivalry in recent years, the Texans have dominated the head-to-head series. Houston holds an 8-2 record in their last 10 matchups against Jacksonville. Going back to last season, Lawrence has lost the last 8 games he started, a troubling trend for a player who was selected first overall in the 2021 NFL Draft. While Jacksonville may have won their last 2 games in Houston, the Texans went undefeated in this rivalry between 2019 and 2022. With the Jaguars currently ranking among the NFL's worst teams on both offense and defense, C.J. Stroud should lead Houston to a decisive victory in this matchup, moving them to 3-1 on the season. Through the first 3 games of the season, the Jaguars have struggled mightily on both sides of the ball. There's reason to wonder when the players might start to lose confidence. The offensive line has been a disaster. Lawrence hasn't been able to produce, and the defense ranks 30th against the pass and 28th in points allowed. On the other side, the Texans are eager for a strong performance after their loss to the Vikings. They've won 8 of their last 10 meetings with Jacksonville, covering the spread in 6 of those games. The Jaguars are also 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 games as underdogs of 7 or more points. So the Houston Texans to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The betting trends support a low-scoring affair as well. The under has hit in 6 of Jacksonville's last 7 road games in Houston, and it's also 8-4 in the last 12 matchups between these teams. Additionally, the under is 4-1 in Houston's last 5 games against American Football Conference opponents. However, Houston may be dealing with injuries to key players like Tank Dell and Joe Mixon, which could limit their offensive output. Last week, without Mixon, Houston only managed to score 7 points, so there's no guarantee they'll have an explosive performance this week. Jacksonville, while motivated to turn things around, faces an uphill battle. Lawrence, in particular, will need to show resilience if the Jaguars fall behind early, but based on Monday's lifeless performance, it's doubtful he'll be able to mount a comeback. If any unit is poised for a strong showing, it's the Texans' defense, which should be able to generate consistent pressure on Jacksonville's shaky offensive line. In their 2 meetings last season, the teams combined for an average total of 47.5 points. However, with Lawrence's offensive struggles this year and Houston putting up just 7 points against Minnesota last week, this game is shaping up to be a defensive battle in a key American Football Conference South matchup. For Jacksonville, the under has hit in 6 of their last 10 games, and they've only surpassed 22 points once in their last 7 outings. As for Houston, the under is 5-4-1 over the same period, with their defense allowing just 30 points across their last 3 home games. Given these trends, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.